All right. All right, let's get started. You're afraid of being seen and it's costing you everything. 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 You say you're protecting yourself, but really you're hiding behind a mask everyone can already see through. See, the problem with you being afraid of being seen is that you never actually show up as who you are, and this blocks everything in your life. And I'm talking about everything. If you're someone who's tried to become a content creator before, this same fear will affect you in your content creation because you're not going to show up authentically. You're going to show up as a inauthentic version of yourself. If you're trying to approach women, you're not going to show up authentically. You're going to show up an inauthentic version of yourself, and you'll find yourself in situations with women where you know they like the mask more than they like you. So you enter a relationship and they like the version that you're performing, and when the real you comes out, they don't really like you for who you are. So you find yourself feeling, misunderstood, not connected with, and you feel like the women don't really care. It's because they like the mask more than the man you are. You find yourself in situations where you're in rooms with other competent men, and they like you, but they don't quite choose you and respect your opinion like that. And it's because they can feel that you're trying to win over their approval, which is why you really need a mask in the first place. Let's be honest, okay? So this is gonna cause you to shrink. This is gonna cause you to hesitate, and it's gonna cause you to hold back what you really want to say and what you really want to do. So let's go into the mechanism of it. This is what you tell yourself, okay? I'm skeptical of people. Caution is the story, fear is the truth. I don't care what people think. You say you don't care, but all your actions show a man who hides, okay? This is something that I've dealt with. I used to say like, "Oh, I'm very skeptical, I just don't like opening up, I don't really give a fuck about what people think." You see how both of those things do not align, and you see the problem with that is when you try to create intimate connections, when you try to create real connections, the problem is you never actually open yourself up enough for those connections. And like I said, you find yourself down that rabbit hole where you're finding people you don't actually vibe with. They vibe with the mask that you're wearing, okay? You'll tell yourself, this is just who I am. Performance is the habit, distance is the cost. You'll find yourself isolated, lonely, because you'll have people around you who like you but don't really understand you. And that's all because you yourself are hiding. You are not seeing yourself, okay? You're wearing a mask and you're telling yourself stories that are keeping you stuck, okay? Of creating real connections. You're skeptical of people. People may have misinterpreted you. They have misread your intentions. They have, maybe people have bullied you, right? So you became skeptical. You should be skeptical of people. Let's be frank. You shouldn't be so easily trusting, but at the same time, you have to trust your discernment. And the problem with this mind, this frame of thinking, this identity, really, is that you never actually open up who you are, okay? So you're performing the entire time. You're trying to win over other men and other women's approval, okay? Despite you saying things like, I don't give a shit. You do give a shit, because if you didn't, you wouldn't hold back who you are, okay? Now, you don't have to be completely transparent, but the thing is that you're wearing a mask to keep yourself safe, because safe is comfortable, safe is familiar. You know, when you don't let someone in, they don't have no reason to critique you, they don't have no reason to add to your shame, but everybody feels the discrepancy. So the only person the mask is fooling is you, okay? Who sees through it? What you think is happening. They see the confident version of you. They respect the mask you wear. The mask is working perfectly. What's actually happening? They feel the distance, even they can't name it. Women will tell you, you're just too vague. You're not. I don't really feel connected to you. Men may fuck with you, but they don't ever reach out. They don't ever really, continue the connection. They may even say things like, there's just something about this guy. I don't know what it is. They respect you less because something feels off. They can feel that you're performing for approval, and that creates a distance because nobody likes anybody who is needy. Let's be straight up. Nobody likes anybody who's needy. That's why the nice guys gets brushed off, because the nice guy, he's not really nice. He's people pleasing to get his way instead of being direct about his way. And incompetence, fear, hesitation is very repelling because it shows you're inadequate, okay? And if you're inadequate, you don't trust that person because now this person is a threat to your safety, okay? The mask isn't hiding weakness, it's advertising it, okay? You're not hiding any weaknesses, you're advertising it. You're advertising fake people to come to you. You're advertising, women who like the performative version of you, men that like the performative version of you, and you never really vibe with anybody, okay? You're not fooling anyone. People don't admire the mask. They feel the gap between who you are and who you're pretending to be. That gap has a name. It's inauthenticity, and it costs you more credibility than any flaw you're trying to hide. Think about it like this: there's men and women too, of course, on social media. You could tell they're selling certain products, certain services, but you could feel the experience is not really authentic. Like they just learned it off of Chat GPT. They learned it off of whatever, right? You could tell it's not really a part of them because they speak in too much absolutes. You know what I mean? Anybody that really has wisdom, really has experience with something, they're not gonna speak in such certainty, okay? Because they understand there's nuances, right? They understand there's discernment between different situations. But when you're not speaking from experience, you're speaking from knowledge, not really, not wisdom, which is knowledge that's applied. You could feel the gap. You could feel like, okay, this didn't really come from him. Where did he actually learn it from? Now, it's not something you may actually pick up, consciously, but subconsciously, you definitely feel it. Like I said, women sense this shit. If you're a man, women will fucking see right through this. They'll see right through this. For me, what would happen is that I would go approach, right? I would go approach, and I would show up performative because I would tell myself like, oh well, I gotta show up like this guy. I gotta be this confident, bold version of myself, and that way I could get the woman. Wait, why are you performing? Why are you performing? Why do you feel like you have to show up a certain way unless you don't feel like the real you is good enough, right? Unless you feel like, the bold, confident you is good enough. And that's what the woman actually wants instead of who you are. You see that's the whole performative cycle. So what was happening to me was I was attracting women that I didn't want to attract. But you know what was attracting it? The mask I was wearing, the wounds I was carrying. Because for me, what it was, I was so afraid of being seen for who I am because my core identity, a man of the Lord, ironically, carried shame. So it caused me to suppress who I was and put on this character, this cartoon character version of myself instead of actually being myself, you know? And what I found when I started finally expressing who I really am, women especially can feel the difference, the presence. And that's one of the best compliments I get right now is the way you carry yourself. I'm young, I'm 23, but to hear that from older women, older men, women my age, women younger than me, men my age, men older than me, et cetera, et cetera. The way you carry yourself. Why? Because I'm rooted in who I am, I'm convicted in who I am, and I'm not wearing the mask anymore. Now, does the mask show up from time to time? Yes. Yes, it does for everybody. Let's not act like not like this society is not very performative. That's why I said if you say you don't care about what anybody think, that's fucking cap. That's fucking cap. Let's be honest. You do care. Now, do we let that care affect us? No, we don't. Okay, but it's better to be honest with ourselves because what we'll tell ourselves is we don't give a shit. But then when it's time for a woman to get close to you, oh, you sabotage the fucking relationship, right? When it's time for you to build certain business connections, you shy away. Why? Because you don't think you can handle the pressure because you're wearing a mask. You're wearing a mask, and You know you're a fraud, and everyone around you knows you're a fraud. But some people take advantage of that mask. Some people, they like the mask more than you. You see my point? So you're the only one that actually believe it works. And I was like that. I was the only one who actually believed it worked. Now the people closest to me, they didn't see the mask, but the way I would present myself, especially during cold approaching to strangers, it was very performative. It was very performative, and that energy is very repulsive. It's like, get the fuck away from me. You don't even know who you are. Like, why would I want to be with a man who doesn't know who he is? Who doesn't you know, who can't lead, who can't guide, who can't set direction for himself? You're a lost soul basically when you're wearing a mask, right? And a lot of the times that's because of wounds. I carried a lot of shame, and I made a video. You guys could watch that. Shame has become your identity. When you're ashamed of who you are, you will shrink up. But that is more of an internal, a spiritual relationship with yourself than the outside world. The fear of being seen is how you show up in the outside world, okay? What it's actually protecting you from, not rejection. You're already choosing that by staying hidden. Okay, this is something that would always happen to me, and the cold approach, is gonna come up a lot because this is where I really learned the mechanism. And I say all praises to the Most High for that, because that's where I really studied the fear of being seen. Okay, you're already choosing to reject yourself because you're not showing up as yourself. Okay, so now you're building a connection on faulty foundations, and because of that you're not revealing who you are. You won't actually get through the door. You've already rejected yourself, so it's only a matter of time before women reject you, other men reject your friendship. you know you're protecting yourself from being fully known. The mask was built to prevent being seen and possibly found lacking, which is goes back to imposter syndrome. Feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like you're a fraud. You may be found lacking, and that pressure of being found lacking is too much for you to bear. So the mask is built for you to be, prevent you from being fully seen. But see, I've talked to a lot of men where they'll say, well, I wish I had a circle that was ambitious. I wish I had a circle that would, thrive with me, a brotherhood. But see, you block off your own connections because you never lead with that. You never show that part of you. Because I guarantee, if you're competent, you're ambitious, especially if you're godly, competent, and ambitious, you hide those parts of you. Why? Because you've been met with people who can't handle that. So now you shrink up. You don't lead with that, and you're not really leading authentically. You're leading with the mask to protect you from that shame. Instead of owning those parts of you, you run from those parts of you. And when you go up and start to create connections, you're finding people that are reaffirming your story, that you cannot be handled, that you're misunderstood, that no one understands your hustle, your grind, your sacrifice, whatever. That you can't find any men and brothers to build with. You can't find women who think like you, who want to build with you. Why? It's because you don't ever show that part of you. But it starts with you leading authentically. When you lead with who you are, you will get people who accept themselves, or not really accept themselves, but will gravitate you because you're real. Especially in this AI world, in this artificial intelligence world, nobody knows what's real no more. Okay, but when you show that, especially in person, like that's so vital. People fuck with that heavy. Okay, people fucking love that. Okay, I'm a testimony to it. I started walking authentically as a man of the Lord. I started telling myself like I could find people who actually think like me, who actually believe in the scriptures the way I do, who actually want to learn the scriptures, who I can actually teach. I could find women who actually believe in God the same way I do. And serendipity, I started leading with that. I started leading with my core identity, with who I am. And next thing you know, even the people that don't fit that mold respect me a lot more, and they fuck with me a lot more because they see that I carry something that not everybody carries, which is realism. Realism, not realism, realism, okay? Authenticity, okay? You're trading being known for being tolerated. You settle for a smaller version of connection every single day. And I meant to put, you're not avoiding rejection, you're guaranteeing a smaller version of it every single day. You're self-rejecting yourself. So what's going to happen? You're going to get rejected You're going to get rejected by the people you actually want closest to you, especially when building new connections, because you've been rejecting yourself. You've been rejecting yourself. So, how do you expect people to accept you? Okay. Like I said, I'm not talking about being transparent, but I'm talking about trusting your discernment, trusting yourself to be fully seen and walking in that authenticity. Everyone is different. Everyone is different. This is generic as fuck. Everyone is different. But what actually makes you different? That's a question you have to sit down and ask yourself, okay? Most of the time, bro, it's just being your fucking self. It's just being who you are. Straight up. Weirdo and everything. Straight up. The reckoning, the cost, real connection, traded for being liked. You get applause, but you don't get closeness. People like you, but you don't really get people that want to fuck with you like that. You don't get people that look for you. You don't get people that initiate connection with you. There's not that spark. You don't have that edge because you're performing just like they are. Real trust and authority traded for being seen as safe. People tolerate you, they don't follow you. People like you, but they know like they can't really trust you because you're not even being real with yourself. How can I trust someone who doesn't trust themselves? How can I trust someone who rejects themselves? Okay. And what happens here too is that you hold back your authority as a man because you don't really trust yourself fully. Because if you walk in your fullness, you will trust yourself in any room that you walk into, any fucking room. You may still be nervous, but at least you'll say, "Hey, motherfucker, I've shown myself a lot of times that I could be myself, and nothing bad is gonna happen. If anything, everything happened for me." Okay, being chosen, traded for being tolerated. You're never the first call. You're never the obvious choice. This happens with fucking women, right? A lot of men, they like to complain. Oh, I don't got enough money. I don't got the abs. Dude, you don't need that shit. Be your fucking self. Be yourself. Straight up. Straight up. You're gonna make the woman feel safe. You're gonna make the woman feel warm because she's performing too. She's fucking performing too. A lot of us be so hypercritical, ready to judge, especially men. Like, especially if you learn the red pill bullshit, which is garbage. Basura, okay? Especially learn that bullshit, bro, you're gonna be so fucking judgmental, and that, like, again, it's a manifestation of how judgmental you are of your fucking self. Okay, so you're never actually gonna be chosen by the people you actually want to be chosen by because you don't even choose yourself. It all starts with you. Ain't that a bitch? Okay. The mask doesn't protect what you're building. It's quietly costing you all of it. You're gonna find yourself under a fucking faulty foundation where there's gonna be people around you, but you're lonely as fuck because you don't really fully see who you are. Everyone already sees through the mask. You're the last one still convinced it's working. Okay, the mask isn't your shield. It's your ceiling. You have to fucking take it off. Okay. um I like to use this analogy. I fuck with Tony Stark because Tony Stark, Iron Man, right? That dude, he don't give a fuck. He's integrated. He's perfectly whole. Sorry, he's whole. Okay, he's Iron Man and Tony Stark unapologetically, and everybody knows that, right? Whereas Spider Man, if you watch the Spider Man movies, Spider Man, it takes him a long time to actually allow, Mary Jane to actually get close to him because he doesn't trust that she could hold his identity as Spider-Man. He fears so much that she will get danger that eventually at the end of the second movie, if you haven't watched it already, dude, it's like 26 years, dog. Like, you should have watched that shit. Um, she tells him, "You got to let me choose." And that's really where you're blocking off. You're not allowing these people to actually choose you for who you are because you're so afraid of being hurt. You've been guarded all your life, and this is really holding you back from the connections that you want to build so you can actually live a life where you feel understood, connected to, where women actually love you for who you are. You're gonna find that you're gonna get even more of them. Okay, you're gonna get more of them. You're gonna have to turn some down. Okay, let's just be frank. And you're gonna find men gravitate towards you because you carry something that they don't have, which is presence. And a man's present is his presence. Peace.